Hi everybody, I hope you are all well. It's been a couple of weeks since you last saw me. Just FYI, I've got all of my windows like wide open and it's a lovely day, so if you hear cars or planes or birds or whatever, I apologise, but I can't help what's going on outside my house. I've just realised you can see my bag. Let's move that out of the way. Past couple of weeks I have been working as usual, obsessively counting down until the next Common Strike book, which comes out the day after tomorrow. I am so excited, I cannot tell you. And just, getting stuff done. I've also been exploring Disney Plus, which I got recently, and I finally watched Turning Red, and I love it so much. I've watched it every single day for a week. I love that film so much. I'm so annoyed that it just went straight to Disney Plus, and so people like me who didn't have it could not go and see it. But yeah, I've seen it now. I love it. It's a great film. Check it out if you haven't seen it. But anyway, I am here to talk about the book I have been reading, which is The Forgotten Garden by Kate Morton. Now, this is my sister's copy because she lent it to me about 4 years ago, saying you've got to read this along with We Were Liars, which I read pretty much straight away. And I said to her, oh, should I give this back to you? And she said, oh, just give it back to me when you've read The Forgotten Garden. It's taken me all of this time, but I finally got round to it. So in case you don't know, Kate Morton is an author who I've come across only once before. Right before I moved out my parents' house, it'll be 8 years in November. Can't believe it's gone that fast already. Right before I moved out, my mum gave me her copy of The Secret Keeper by Kate Morton to read. At the time, I think it had just come out in paperback, and my mum had read it and she went, this book is really good, you've got to read it. Sorry, there's a it's a helicopter, I think, actually, rather than a plane going over my house right now. By the by, she said, right, you've got to read this book, it's absolutely brilliant. I read it, I loved it. I cried my eyes out and I ran downstairs. I remember after I turned the last page, I ran downstairs to my mum. I was like, that was so good. I was bawling my eyes out. I was like, right, I really need to read some more Kate Morton. Obviously, I moved out of home, life changed, and I forgot about Kate Morton, really. Or at least I haven't forgotten, because I vividly still remember the feelings from reading that book. I don't necessarily remember every little bit of it, but I remember the key moments and I remember how I felt. So clearly it made an impact. So my sister was like, oh, Kate Morton's absolutely amazing writer. And so she lent me The Forgotten Garden. And it sat on my bookshelf, rather forgotten until now. And here I am to review it. So I have some interaction with Kate Morton previously, but only one book, like 8 years ago, and it was one of her later books. This is I think this was like her second book. Yes, it was only a second book, because under the other Kate Morton, who's only her first one, The House at Riverton, and Secret Keeper, I think is like a fourth or maybe fifth book. Because she's written several books. So this is going back before The Secret Keeper. And I have to say, I bloody love this book. I've started reading this on Thursday. It is now Sunday, and I finished it this morning because I had about 150 or so pages left to read last night, and I've been reading all day, and I couldn't keep my eyes open, but I wanted to carry on, but I was like, no, listen to your body, Becky, go to bed. So I've read the last 150 pages this morning. Now, The Forgotten Garden is a story which is set across multiple periods of time. It ranges from 1900 to 2005, and it constantly jumps back and forth between time streams, because what happened, it begins in 1913, where a little 4-year-old girl finds herself on a ship headed for Australia. She is completely alone. A woman who she refers to as the authoress put her on the boat, told her that she had to stay there, walked away, and never came back. And she's found herself in Australia. We then jump to 1975, where the child has grown up. Her name is Nell, and she is on a mission to find out what happened after learning when she's 21 years old, how she came to be in the family, because she never knew that she'd been taken in. She always believed that her adopted parents were her parents, and so she's on this mission to find out what happened. And then we jump to 2005, where Nell's granddaughter Cassandra has inherited a cottage upon the death of her grandmother Nell in Cornwall, but the family has always been Australia. It doesn't make any sense, and she can't understand what is going on, why this cottage was owned by her grandmother. And so the mystery leads her to Cornwall, and we find out the heritage of Nell. So that's kind of the brief outline of the story. Now, Kate Morton has got this very, very unique ability in that she can leave little seeds. I know you could say this is true about all authors, but the way that she does it is so realistic to life that it feels completely genuine. And it's that thing of leaving these little seeds all over the place, things that you don't realize are seeds. And I'm using seeds because garden. It's called A Forgotten Garden. It's about a garden. I'm using seeds. She scatters them all over the place, and you don't realize what they are. And then right near the end, she rips the rug out from under you, and it's like, oh, that is a fine author. The way that she does it, I marvel at her techniques. Every single character feels completely genuine. Every single character's motives are absolutely genuine and appropriate based on their backgrounds, their interactions, their knowledge of the world, the knowledge of the situation that the book is about. I just grew to love everything about this book. I will say at the beginning, every chapter jumps back and forth between timelines, obviously, because there's a full range of stuff. And as I said, in 1913, Nell is on the boat, but we go all the way back to 1900. So there is another 13 years of jumps there. And so when it first began, because it was constantly jumping back and forth, I'm like, okay, where do I need to keep track of people who are linked to people in my mind. Obviously, you've got characters who appear in multiple time jumps, because obviously they grow up through time. And people who disappear, and you're like, oh, why they disappeared? What's going on? That kind of thing. Once I got into the flow of it, which probably took maybe about 50 to 100 pages, just to feel properly grounded, that I knew that I could turn the page and know exactly who's in this time zone, how they're linked, how they feel, what they know, that kind of thing. And this is a 660 page book, so between 50 to 100 pages to do that's a pretty strong bit of writing, I feel personally. Some books will go 200-300 pages before you feel that comfortable, depending on the context of the book. So for her to get all of these characters, and there are a lot of characters, jumping about multiple times, and have them interact or not interact, or they will at some point. It's just like, that's very, very good writing as well. There is especially something that she does near the end of the book, which I sent a message to my sister about this morning, and I was like, that is one of the best things I have ever read of a character getting a comeuppance. Obviously, I'm not going to say who it is or what it is or anything like that, because spoilers, that it was like, of all the ways, that was one of the best things I could have possibly read for them to happen to them. And I was really pleased that she did that. Um, with the mystery itself, it was so intriguing, and I kept on trying to figure it out, and I felt like a bit like a novel detective trying to work out all the twists and turns, and I actually managed to predict the ending as a joke to my sister, because I was just a bit like, oh, what's the most extreme thing that I can think of? And because various interests that me and my sister have, I just blurted out this comment like, oh, Kate Morton's probably going to do this. I'm not going to say, well, it is, because obviously spoilers. And then this morning I sent her a message going, oh my God, that message I sent you last night, I only meant it as a joke. I can't believe this is happening. And my sister was sending me a load of laughing emojis. It was just like, Jesus. So I did predict the ending, but completely by accident. And even though there were some things that I got right, the reason behind them being right, I was completely wrong. And I love that about Kate Morton. I remember in The Secret Keeper, being so intrigued by this mystery and trying to figure it out. And when she made it clear what happened, and I vividly remember this, and I'm sure others who have read that book will say the same thing, it was one sentence at the beginning of a chapter, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And it was like all the pieces fell into place. I was like, oh my God, holy crap, that's insane. And the same thing happened to me in this book. Granted, sorry, big plane, massive plane going over my house, blinking out. Granted, the circumstance was very different than Secret Keeper, but I was just like, that it takes skill, that takes such technique. Even though this is her second book, and The Secret Keeper, like I said, I think was like a fourth or maybe a bit further along in the list of books. You can feel from my memories of The Secret Keeper that The Secret Keeper is stronger in how she tightens her writing, but I don't think, even though saying that, this in comparison to The Secret Keeper is tighter, but this is just stunning. So if this is stunning and this isn't as tight as The Secret Keeper, what has she gone on to do with her other books? And what about the other books that are in between The Secret Keeper and this, and The House of Riverton that is before this? I'm just like, oh my God, Kate Morton is just brilliant. I totally felt I was completely immersed in this story, and I referred to Lethal White when the story of it in my review video, and my sister totally agreed with me when she read that, that it was like mold and there was like dots all over the place, and then it spreads and then they start to join and you don't realize the joins. I feel that's kind of the same with the mystery in this book, but because it's a garden, I'm going to refer to it as ivy instead. And it's just, yeah, how it slowly creeps up, and what a garden, what nature can conceal, what it can expose, how there can be true darkness beneath the beauty. It's just stunning, this book, and it's going to linger with me. It's really going to linger with me. Okay, you could argue, well, is it worth the 660 pages that it is? Yes. Even though, as I said, that first like 50 to 100 pages, you're kind of, okay, getting used to the ground, but once the groundwork is established, it takes off, and I got completely caught up in it. I love the characters. Ruby was my absolute favourite. I adored Ruby. She's a woman who helps Cassandra in 2005 to try and solve the mystery of what happened and the cottage in Cornwall. She was wonderful, and other characters as well, ranging from going back to the 1900s all the way through to the 2005s. I'm not going to state any particular names because of spoilers, but I especially there was one particular link between 2005 and the 1900s relating to a little boy. Again, I'm not going to say because of spoilers, but yeah, I was like, that is one of the most beautiful things that I've read in a while. That connection, and it was just, oh, it was wonderful. And stories like this, I feel like, it does that thing of the connection to our past, our history, and how those connections are still there. History will always, in a way, repeat itself. That there's always those connections in other ways. The way that we feel about certain things, the way that we react to certain things, the way that an event can completely change you. And the fact that she did this kind of with The Secret Keeper as well, but completely in a different way. She likes to jump back and forth between the past and the present. And her technique for doing it is just absolutely beautiful. Every aspect of this book, I was like, wow, that is the work of a really grounded in reality, truly decent writer. As I said, this was only her second book, and her work had tightened in The Secret Keeper from what I remember. So I'm like, Kate, where have you gone with your other books? I really want to know, so I really need to buy the other books now. I had broken my whole not buying books this year, which I've done it twice already this year, so I categorically failed on that. I've admitted that multiple times on this channel, but yeah, I definitely feel like I need to get hold of all of Kate Morton's books, and I get paid on Tuesday, and I'm like, might have to do that. As well as buying a copy of Turning Red on Blu-ray, because I love that. So yeah, I marked a few pages in here, but I can't remember exactly where. Oh no, I can't read you that bit because spoilers. Let's just check this. I should have done this before I turned on my camera, but oh well, I didn't. And I can't read you that bit either because it's a spoiler, even though I didn't realise it was a spoiler. Let's see if I can go with number 3 instead. Nope, can't read that one either. This is the thing about Kate Morton's writing. She sprinkles all this stuff in here, and I thought, oh yeah, that'll be fine for me to read out as an example. No, I can't, because spoilers. So I might just read a little bit from the front of the book instead. So then that way, that won't be, spoiler. Right. Okay, let's go from here. So this is our little girl, Nell, in London in 1913, and she's been put on the boat by this woman, the authoress. So it's just describing things that she's seen in the cottage and such. And so yeah. Let's read a bit of this. I'm going to start about halfway through this chapter. This chapter is short, but it's still, the chapter is like 5 pages, and I don't want to read 5 pages to you guys, so because that'll take a little bit of time. So I'm going to start at the bottom of the second page. So a little girl laughed again. The boat was gliding through the water like a giant whale, like Moby Dick in the story her father often read to her. Mama didn't like it when he read such stories. She said that they were too frightening and put ideas into her head that couldn't be got out. Papa always gave Mama a kiss on the forehead when she said that sort of thing, told her that she was right and that he'd be more careful in the future. But he still told the little girl stories of the great whale, and others, the ones that were the little girl's favourite from the fairy tale book, about eyeless crones and orphan maidens and long journeys across the sea. He just made sure that Mama didn't know, and that it remained their secret. The little girl understood that they had to have a secret from Mama. Mama wasn't well, had been sickly since before the little girl was born. Grandmama was always always bidding something. Sorry. Grandmama was always bidding her to be good, minding her that Mama were to get upset, something terrible might happen, and it would be all her fault. The little girl loved her mother and didn't want to make her sad, didn't want something terrible to happen, so she kept things secret, like the fairy stories and playing near the maze, and that time Papa had taken her to visit the authoress in a cottage on the far side of the estate. Aha! A voice by her ear. I found you! The barrel was heaved aside and the little girl squinted up into the sun, blinked until the owner of the voice moved to block the light. It was a big boy, 8 or 9, she guessed. You're not Sally, he said. The little girl shook her head. Well, who are you? She wasn't meant to tell anyone her name. It was the game that she was playing, she and the lady. Well, it's a secret. His nose wrinkled, freckles drew together. What for? She shrugged. She wasn't supposed to speak of the lady. Papa was always reminding her so. Where's Sally, then? The boy was growing impatient. He looked left and right. She ran this way, I'm sure of it. The whoop of laughter from further down the deck and the scramble of fleeing footsteps. The boy's face lit up. Quick, he said as he started to run. She's getting away. The little girl leant her head against the barrel and watched him weaving in and out of the crowd in keen pursuit of a flurry of white petticoats. Her toes itched to join them, but the lady had said to wait. The boy was getting further away, ducking around the portly man with a waxed moustache, causing him to scowl so that his features scurried towards the centre of his face like a family of startled crabs. The little girl laughed. Maybe it was all part of the same game. The lady reminded her more of a child than of the other grown-ups she knew. Perhaps she was playing too. The little girl slid from behind the barrel and stood slowly. Her left foot had gone to sleep and now had pins and needles. She waited a moment for the feeling to return, watched as the boy turned the corner and disappeared. Then, without another thought, she set off after him, feet pounding, heart singing in her chest. So I can only give a little teaser of her writing, but believe me, that Kate Morton is just absolutely wonderful with all of her beautiful construction of the stories. The way she talks about nature and the seasons and such in this book is wonderful, and she knows how to spin a web. She knows how to creep up on you and then startle you with the true revelation of what happened. It was an absolutely stunning read, was The Forgotten Garden, and I loved every minute of it, all the characters, every event. It was just wonderful, and the ending was beautiful. So those are my thoughts on The Forgotten Garden by Kate Morton. So have you read this book? I'd love to know what you think. Leave comments below, give me thumbs up, thumbs down, type to you, I'll let you decide. And I've just realised I forgot to ask my questions, so let's ask the questions now. So, would I read this again? Oh my god, yes, I need to buy myself a copy of this and Kate Morton's other books, because oh my god, it was amazing. It was beautiful. I would definitely go back to this world and this story and read it over and over and over again. I loved it. I loved it so much. Would I recommend this to anyone? Absolutely yes. If you want, like this slow burn mystery with lots of twists and turns and the absolute trueness of heart and reality at the center of it, then go for it. It's absolutely brilliant. Would I buy any more of Kate's books? Well, the fact that I want to buy her entire collection right now, but I can't because I have to wait until I get paid on Tuesday. I think that says something. So yes, I definitely would buy more of her books. They're fabulous. So as I said, if you read this book, leave me a comment in the comments below, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, tag to your later side, and I'll be back with my next read. Now, the new Cormoran Strike book comes out on Tuesday. I am off work, Monday's bank holiday, and then I'm off work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I am going to be going to my local Waterstones, be there for 9 o'clock in the morning to buy my copy on Tuesday, and then I've got that day and the next 2 days to just completely immerse myself in that book, and I am so excited. So I will be back with that book first before the To All the Boys I Loved Before trilogy. I thought I might just get that trilogy in there before the release of the next Stripe book, but it didn't quite happen, so oh well, what can you do? So yes, I'll be back with the next Cormoran Stripe book, which is Ink Black Heart, as soon as I finish reading. Alright you guys, bye!